Today we're going to talk about Workbook 3A, Exercise 10. This is in the textbook, page 28 through 30, and we're talking about subtraction. Now, subtraction is another, also stated like on page 28 when it just says find the difference between the two numbers. That is a clue for you that you're going to be doing subtraction. And just like addition, there's several ways to do it. Certainly, you can always do subtraction from right to left. We've talked about that before. If you start on the right side, 6 minus 4 is 2. 4 tens minus 3 tens is 1 10. 200 minus 600, can't do that. So let's change the 1,000. Instead of 3,000, we'll have 2,000 and 1,000. Then when I have 12 hundreds minus 6 hundreds, I have 600 left, and 2,000 minus 1,000 is 1,000. You can always do that, and you could do every problem on this assignment that way, but it probably won't surprise you to know that I would like you to have more tools in your toolbox to think about how to find the difference between two numbers. One thing you could do, I'm going to show this. This is the first thing, and it is the right to left. I'm going to show you two other ways that you could work the problem that I think are very good things to know. If I think of the difference between 1,634 and 3,246, what I want to know is how far is it between them. Now, I can go from 1,634 up to 2,000. I can do that mentally because I know I need 900, 9 tens, and 10 ones. So if I added 366, I would be at 2,000. To get from 2,000 to 3,246, I need to add 1,246. And for that, I can now take it and use the same addition we've been doing. A second problem, I have 1 in the thousands place and not enough hundreds to make another 1,000. I have 5 in the hundreds place, and I do have enough tens, so I'll have 600. Now all of my tens have been used. 6 and 4 were used to make 100, but I do have enough ones to make a 10, and then I have 2 ones left over. So by doing that, I can come up with the fact that it's 1,612. Now that's also fairly long, not exactly mental math because there's a lot of numbers to keep up with, but it's at least a good idea to know that you could find the difference between two numbers by going the other direction. Here is a nifty trick, not trick so much as tool or skill, that you could use for solving this one. Notice that 46 and 34, those numbers are easy to subtract. If you have 46 and you take away 34, you have 12. If I have 3,200, take away 1,600, now from there, 32 to 16, I can do that one pretty easy. That's 4 gets me up to 20, and 12 gets me up to 32. 12 and 4 is 16. So by looking at 3,200 take away 1,600, or even what's the difference in 1,600 and 3,200, and what's the difference in 34 and 46, I can also come up with 1,612. It's just a nice way to think about numbers in many different strategies, different ways. So don't always do it the same way. Now, that was kind of the hard problem, and then they give us several examples that are much easier, although still good to practice and good to think about. In all of these examples on page 29, number 1, we have enough to subtract. I have 7 ones, subtract 3 ones, I'll have 6,844. This is really just practicing with place value. I have 4 tens, I'm subtracting 2 tens, so I'll have 6,827. 800 subtract 500 leaves me with 6,347. 6,000 subtract 4,000 leaves me with 2,847. And then, do you remember doing exactly this idea on the addition page? Now I'm going to subtract 500 and 20 and 3 all at the same time, but notice I always have enough to subtract. I still have the 6,000. My hundreds are now 3. My tens are now 2. My ones are now 4. I could look at that left to right and subtract it really quickly. especially because I have enough to subtract each one. And even letter F, when I add the thousands in, I still have enough each time, so it's 2,324. The rest of this page draws pictures to show you how to think about it when you have to combine and make a different 10 out of things, or 100 or 1,000 out of it. 5,340, you could kind of think of it as 5,330 and 10, because the 10 minus 6 is 4, and you'll now have 5,334. Also, you can think of it as 40, take away 6, and the 5,300 just carries right along. What if you think about 4,500 minus 80? 500 minus 80 is 420, and so the answer is 4,420. For the last one on this page, you could even look at it as 7,000 minus 300 will be 6,700. So there's always ways to think about it that just kind of make it easier than just doing the up and down, right to left subtraction. And then on this page, page 30 at the top of the page, there are all these problems. These are, the first thing you're going to do on all of them is check and see if you can do it without having to borrow a 10 to make enough ones or whatever. And many times you're not going to be able to, but you can also think of some of the other strategies. And I'll just show you the ones as we do them, the ones that seem to me to be the easiest for each particular problem. When I look at the first one, I notice that I could do 4,800 minus 500 is 4,300, and 21 minus 14 is 7. So 4,307 is that answer. Certainly 21 minus 14, that's something that I know when I look at it. It might take you a little more to think through it, but thinking through 20 and 1, 20 minus 14 is 6, 6 and 1 is 7. So you can break it down into smaller problems and do math skills with the smaller problems. Probably the same thing with 5,600 minus 1,300 is 4,300. What about 45 subtract 17? If you think of 45 as 25 and 20, 20 minus 17 is 3, so that leaves me with 28. And again, even if you write this part down, I still think you're doing it quicker than if you wrote the entire thing vertically and subtracted all of it. I think that's a good way to do it. On this problem, I can't take 43 minus 61. It's not a big enough number. So that strategy doesn't work on this one. But I can think in terms of 461, the closest hundred number is 500. And I know that 6,743 could be broken down into 500 and 6,243. And because I know that 461 needs 39 to make 100, remember 9 tens and 10 ones, then I could think of this as 6,243 add 39. That would give me 6 in the thousands place, 2 in the hundreds place. My tens are 7, but I'm going to have another 10, and I'll have 2 ones. Which one is faster, to write it vertically and do it right to left, or to do it this way? I don't know for sure, but I feel like this one is a good way to practice because it stretches your brain and lets you think about numbers this way. I can use the same idea with this problem, only go to 4,000, which means that this one is 4,769 because those come together to give you 8,769. With the 1,000, I know how to go 4,000 minus 3,292 because I know that I need 9 hundreds, 9 ones, 9 tens, and 10 ones. So if I subtract 3,292 292 from 4,000, I get 708. And if I combine that, 4,700 and 700 is going to give me 5,400, and 69 and 8 is 77. There are some, even with writing a little bit down, there's some really great ways to solve these problems, and I would still call that mental math. You're still thinking about it mathematically. That's good stuff. Then I look at letter E, and I notice that I could do 9,600 minus 800 and 74 minus 53. 96 minus 8. If you think of it as 86 and 10, 10 minus 8 is 2. That gives me 8,800. 74 take away 53 is 21. 8,821. Same thing on this one. The 73 minus 47 is a little complicated, but 56 minus 31 is very simple. That's 25. Let's think about 73 minus 47. I could think of that as 50 and 23. 47 minus 50 is 3. 23 and 3 is 26. 2,625. All right, that's a lot of new tools in your toolbox. I hope that you can do that. It takes a bit of stamina to do that, so you might need to do a few and take a break and do a few and take a break, but it would be great if you could work on thinking about numbers this way, because I think in the long run you'll be much, much, much better and faster at math by doing your subtraction in using one of these tools.